Okay, our next work session is Internal Services Department Overview with Michelle Schuster. So welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Michelle Schuster, Director of Internal Services. Can you go to the first slide, Michelle? So, Internal Services Department is made up of a lot of internal facing departments that help other departments in their job here at the county. We have a total excuse me, we have a total of 61 employees. Of the 61 employees, 7 of those positions are 2-year project positions that we have been approved for recently. We oversee the contract and leasing department. That department has 1 full-time employee and works closely with the legal, risk, and other departments' contract people. So it does, it only has 1 employee, but it really gets support and works with a lot of other departments. Our mailroom and print shop have 2 people, 1 who is dedicated to the mail, 1 dedicated to the print shop, but they are cross-trained so they can help each other out. We have the Board of Equalization, which has 1 full-time employee, and then there's also the board members that hear the Board of Equalization cases. Our facilities management has our largest number of employees, and that has 39 employees. 1 of those is a project position, and that department is made up of electricians, carpenters, HVAC, plumbers, a painter, a couple electronics, which is our low voltage people, a locksmith, some helpers, supervisors, warehouse employees, a custodian, and then a project position or a position that works closely with projects. And then also under sort of the facilities branch is our projects and space planning. Those 5 employees are all the 2-year project employees. And so in there we have a project coordinator who is helping us with the law and justice projects we're doing right now, an electrician, an electronic person, and 2 carpenters. And they're really instrumental in helping us with all the in-house stuff we're doing on our space planning right now. And then we also have a procurement purchasing department that's made up of 4 employees. 3 of those are full-time and 1 is a 2-year project position. Our records department that oversees records management for the entire county, and that's made up of 3 employees. And then our financial management and other office support. Our financial management is made up of 3 employees, and that's a finance manager, a finance analyst, and an OA who specializes in doing all of our invoicing, contracts for vendor entering, POs, requisitions. And then our office staff that's under this, there's 2 of those, and they're what we call our floater OAs. And they're cross-trained to help out in our mailroom, our print shop, with some of the work that our contract person does in helping enter contracts, working with our leases, supporting the Board of Equalization. So they're really cross-trained at a multitude of facets to help in these different departments since we are 1 deep in a lot of areas. So that's what makes up our department. And if you'll go to the next slide. So a little bit about each of these areas. So our facilities management department really provides services to all the county departments and outside agencies that could contract for our maintenance services and our tenants who are in our buildings. Facilities encompasses project and space planning. We have 156 unique sites that the county owns. And of those, we have 258 plus structures at those sites, and facilities oversees the maintenance at all of these locations. And this is spread over 450 square miles of the county that we have things. We've got tower sites that are out in very remote locations, public work sheds that we help maintain. And so we do have a large area we support. And of that, there's over 1.8 million square feet of building space that we help to maintain. So, and that's with the 39 employees we have. So lots of work. We get over 17,000 work orders put through our work order system each year. And that's on top of our routine things like that we already have pre-scheduled, like filter changes, painting jobs that we have on our schedule. So we have a lot of work that we're completing around the county. Our second area is our financial management analysis. And so not only do our 3 employees provide financial support for internal services areas, but we also provide support to other county departments that don't have finance people. And these include community planning, GIS, human resources, public defense, the county manager and county council office, animal control, fire marshal, code enforcement, information technology, jail services, the Emergency Services District 2, and the Public Facilities District. And so, so we support a lot of external departments to help them do their budgeting, enter their budget packages. We do monthly reports with all those departments to go over their finances to let them know how they're doing, if there's areas they might have to cut back on, areas where they're seeing savings, how their employee costs are running for those departments. So we have, even though they're outside area, we're helping them greatly with their finances. We also have the print shop, and we do in-house printing services. We do black and white, color printing, NCRs, business cards, binding, laminating. So we really try and keep all those services in-house to give the best bang for the buck and to keep those services flowing. We currently are doing over 1.7 million pages of printing per year for departments. And those are on, we have 3 Konica machines down there that we run on and other things. There is a few things we can't do, some of the larger jobs, some of the signs, we do export that to outside printing services, but we do keep the majority of printing services in-house. And then our mailroom provides centralized mail services to all county departments in the most efficient, cost, and timely manners we can. We do have to follow all United States Postal Services rules and regulations to run our mailroom. We process over 800,000 pieces of mail per year that go out of our county. And that doesn't include the mail we receive to the county where people are mailing us stuff. And that all goes through our mailroom also. So that one person processes all these pieces of mail. We send as much as we possibly can out bulk, so we get a better rate for those items. It's about a 50-50 mix of what is sent out. So our first class versus our bulk rate. Next slide, please. Then our procurement purchasing department provides direction for all staff on the procurement of goods and services and makes sure that everyone is in compliance with federal, state, local laws, codes, and policies for the procurement of goods and services. They also handle our countywide parking and our surplus through the procurement department. We got the extra project position this year because we have had so many things that we've had to go out to RFP, bids, small works, that at the beginning of this year, we were already booked out through September of 2025 with things that were backed up in the queue. So that's really helping us. We just did our recruitment. The project employee starts next month. So that'll really help us once they're trained to sort of catch up with all these bids and documents that we have to get out to help departments procure their services. The next department is our Board of Equalization, and they assist in the administration of property valuation used for tax purposes, providing an impartial forum for property owners to petition their valuations. If a property owner disputes the assessed value of their property, the Board of Equalization Board will hear the owner's appeal and make an informed decision. And I think our peak year was back around 2018. We had almost 1,600 petitions. On average, we see about 8 to 1,000 per year of people petitioning the valuation of their property. And those do just reset it if they are found to have a lower property value. That just resets it for that year. And then the next year goes back up to the fully assessed value. And so they would have to petition again if the next year they felt it needed to be reevaluated. And then our next area is our records management. They administer the county records for the entire life cycle of those records. And so we have different record retention rates that are based on state retention mandates. And so a lot of our stuff needs to be retained for at least a minimum of 7 years. There's a few things that are less, some things that are more, but they manage that. We have 2 warehouses with, I believe it's like 16,000 boxes of records. And so they're where you go when public records are requested for things that have been retained, go through that department to get a lot of that information. They work closely with the records PDR people within the departments, and they make sure that things are destroyed on the proper schedules. So it's a lot of work for the 3 records people to manage all those. And then our last area is our contracts and lease administration, and they coordinate all contracts and leases for Clark County across multiple departments. We are in the process of trying to centralize all of our contracts, leases into one centralized database. So that's a big project that was something that SAO and our internal auditor recommended that we do because we have records that are in multiple systems across the county, paper copies. So we're really trying to get those all centralized into one database so it's easier when someone wants to look at, the variety of contracts we have, that they're all in one centralized area. This next slide just sort of shows the budgets for the different areas. So line 1 is our internal services or admin, contract, finance are also rolled into one. As you can see, the biggest thing in that area is our salary and benefits. We do have a controllable budget of about $529,000. Of that, $507,000 that is for the CVTV contract, which is the recording of all of the hearings and the work sessions. And so our controllable budget is fairly small when you take that component out. And then our technology. Procurement, again, the majority of their budget is salary and benefits with some controllables. Print shop and mailroom, they are really heavy in the controllables because that is all the costs for the postage, the paper, the supplies, everything to run that mailroom. Records management, their big cost is salary and benefits, but then they also do the majority of those controllables, about 98,000 of that is for on-base records management system that we have. So that's the majority of their controllable cost. Our board of equalization, again, the majority of that salary and benefits, and even for the controllables, that is the board member salary and benefits, but it falls sort of in a different area because they're not true county employees. They're considered a board, and they get a stipend of $100 per day on days that they have hearings. So. And then our Tri-Mountain Golf Course, which we've talked a lot about recently, that budget is currently at $2.2 million. Then our event center, which is our fairgrounds, their budget is mainly controllables, and those are the things they have to purchase to do the fair, do the events. And there is a lot of revenue that comes in to support those costs. And so they pretty much break even each year. And then there is one county employee who's a facilities employee that's dedicated to the fairgrounds. And then the rest of it is the contract employees, and that falls under the controllables also. Our campus development fund, this is where we collect all of the rents for our county facilities. And it also pays our security contract for CCH. So this is sort of a pass-through fund. We collect a lot of stuff, and then this fund passes on over to like facilities, money to cover the maintenance cost on a lot of those facilities, like PSC, CCH, the Dolly building, other properties that we collect rent on. Our Fund 59.3, that is our maintenance fund, where we do all of our maintenance and operations from. As you can see, about $4 million is for the salary for the 38 employees that are funded out of this, and then the couple project employees. Then our controllables, which goes to cover utilities, the supplies, the services, elevator repairs, our custodial contract, that's just over $6 million. Our major maintenance fund, which is where we do all of our capital projects out of, that is bigger than it's been in the past, and that's just because we have so many projects going on right now. So currently that's got about $1 budget of $37 million, and that's for all of this, the law and justice projects we have going on and the various other major maintenance things. And then we've got our newest fund that we just acquired this last year, which is our 3020 bonded capital. And that is comprised of 3 projects. It's our jail work center, 64-bed medium security that we're building, our district court 210 renovation, and our elections remodel that we're doing. And so those were those dedicated loan that we're taking out to do those 3 projects. So overall, you'll see that the majority of our budget, 57 million of our 98 million, is dedicated to the capital projects that we have going on. And then we've got about 7 million total of salary and benefits, and then 33 million for controllables. And some of the controllables are, a lot of those are related to our maintenance and our non-capital project management that's in our 5193. And then next is just some challenges and opportunities we have. So as I mentioned earlier, one of the big things we're working on is centralizing all our contracts, leases, memoranda of understandings, interlocal agreements into one database. And so that's a large project we're working on to get that centralized for the county. Another one is just the upkeep of our county facilities. We are a very reactive shop at this time instead of being proactive. And a lot of that is just because of how much we have to do with the limited staff and resources we have. And so we're really trying to move that to be much more proactive and getting that to a place as far so that we're not so reactive where we're just keeping up with the daily maintenance on the facilities. We are also doing a lot of space planning, as you know, right now, and remodeling of buildings and moving around of departments. And that'll really help us with our future county growth of getting these departments much more, into facilities that work for them better operationally. Another challenge for us is the continued increased cost of supplies, services, and construction labor. These continue to grow steadily every single year. And so to upkeep with this cost, we need more and more funding to do that. Another thing is just cross-training and employee retention. We have a lot of long-time employees in our department, and so we know we're going to have a lot of retirements coming up in the near future. And it's just making sure that we continue to provide the support and we get the cross-training so that we don't have things that fall to the wayside as these people retire and then we hire new employees in. And then we have, like I mentioned earlier, an increased demand on our procurement department with the number of bids, RFPs, quotes, and small works. And this is really driven by the number of projects the county has taken on, whether it be in public works, community development, facilities. We just have a lot of procurements that are going out. So we really thank you for that project position because that's going to help us keep up with these because there is so much going on. That's just sort of a recap. And also, like Laura and Emily said, we have provided you earlier in the year some more detail on all these departments so that you can really see some of the more statistics and how much we are doing in those. So any questions?
Let me just start by saying thank you and to your entire team. You're doing a lot of work. It's a huge scope and whatever we can do, please bring to us if we can help with some of these challenges. Are there any questions from the council?
Chair, I have a question.
Oh, yes, go ahead, Councilor Belcott.
Hey, Michelle, I was wondering so I was taking some notes. The special projects person that you're going to get on staff to help you, will that person be helping with putting all the leases and contracts in the centralized system that you all are going to be working on?
No, we have an OA who is over in the internal office. She's one of the 2 floaters. She will be helping with that. We're also working with Bonfire, which is our current company that we've contracted with for our database, and they can import stuff. We've got to get it into sort of a format to do that, and then they can help import into the system, but we've got to get it into the format they need for that. So that'll get a lot of the existing contracts, some of it in there. We'll have to do the attachments. Their system can't import the attachment, but it can import a lot of the facts about the contract, what department is, dollar values, dates, that type of stuff. But our OA will be helping the contract department attach the actual contracts and then enter any new ones that come in the future after we do that import. So.
Okay, so the contractor will be putting the contracts in the system?
They'll be loading the data, but we've got to get the data into a format first for them, and then they'll load it. So
Gotcha.
we won't have to hand enter every detail, but we will have to hand link all of our contracts. And we've got a couple thousand at least of those. So yeah.
That was my
So-
next question.
Yep.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Just to follow up on that, what would the time frame are you envisioning for that project?
Yeah. Probably at least another year, I'm thinking, to really get it in a good place. Yeah.
Good, thanks. Go ahead, Counselor Little.
Yeah, thank you. I just had a question as I'm learning budgets, how they work. Can you describe what goes into the controllable column versus what doesn't?
Yeah. So controllables are really known as sort of services, supplies, training, travel. So the majority of stuff for us is like for facilities, it would be utility bills that we pay, water bills, sewer bills. It would be rental contracts. So we pay the rent out of the facilities for the domestic violence building, the family law annex, the 210 district court building. So that's in the controllables. It's also things such as supplies, paint, filters, nuts and bolts, all that type of stuff is what sort of makes up the facility one. For other areas, it would be paper supplies, postage for the mailroom is in the controllable budget. For the print shop, it's their paper, their toner, their copier leases. So each area is very different what goes into that. But yeah, it's pretty much everything that's really not salary and benefits and not capital type work. So.
Okay, thank you.
Other
Chair?
questions? Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I have two questions. Excuse me. The first one would be the 39 employees with facilities maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we could have 200 people on there, we could have 0 and contract everything out. And you know, there is a sweet spot somewhere in between of having staff on hand for small things that are, you know, that would be prohibitively expensive to hire a contractor. I mean, you know, having an electrician, you know, in our numbers means that if a receptacle or a light switch or something goes bad in a public service center, you can send them up there and in 10 minutes they can have that switched out. Whereas if you called a contractor, you'd be $300 for that one switch. So obviously in that instance, it makes sense to have an employee on hand for those issues, but that the number of employees also can be high enough to where we've got people on site doing things that may not be of great value, and it would have been cheaper to hire an outside company to take care of. What I'm curious about is, you know, how do you determine that sweet spot, which right now we're at 39? How do you determine that? And then what is your process for kind of a high level evaluation and looking at it in terms of efficiency? Have we gone too far one way or the other?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I can tell you if we contract out labor, we have to pay Washington State prevailing wage. Washington State prevailing wage is higher than the wage we pay our in-house workers. So anything we contract out is going to be more expensive than what we can do in-house. As far as projects go, for projects in the state of Washington, we can only do 10% or less in-house of project work. And that was based on a change in the state years ago where contractors approached the state and said, you're taking our business away from them. So when it comes to project work, like doing a full-blown remodel on a building, building a building, that 90% of all that has to be contracted out. We actually contract more than 90% out because we don't have the staff to do it. So I would say ours is closer to 99% contracted out when it comes to that major maintenance because we don't have the staff for it. But we can do 10% of that in-house. And that's what we're doing. Like the 4 project employees for the space planning are doing some of that in-house remodel, capital construction type stuff. So there are some state mandates that require us to do a lot of it out of house for the capital portion. But yeah, at this point, facilities have seen cuts over the years. We haven't seen increase of staff. I know 2008 they took a significant cut and lost a lot of employees then. And then the fairgrounds, we used to have 4 facilities employees at the fairgrounds who are funded by the fair, but were facilities employees. And that is down to 1 now, because what has happened is as those people have retired or left, the fairgrounds has absorbed back into the budget and has hired their own people to work under the management agreement, which has saved us some money that way. But we still do a lot of support for the fair with our in-house employees that we built back to them. So yeah, I don't think we've hit the sweet spot quite yet of being able to do more stuff in-house. There is a lot of stuff we have to contract out. We have determined, like, we have a custodial contract, and the custodial contract is a little over $1 million per year that we pay for outside custodial. That is cheaper than bringing a full custodial staff in-house to do all that custodial with that agreement. But there could be a point in coming years where the tipping point where that contract may get so expensive, it might be worth it to bring in a house, but we're not to that point yet. So yeah, we are looking at this. I haven't done a full evaluation, I can tell you, but that is something we can look at.
Great, thank you. Excellent answer. And I'll tell you, 2 years and I'm still learning new stuff. 10%, that is that, just continually learn things that are, rules and laws that governing how government does business that is so different from the private sector. So thank you for that. The second question that I had was, we've been having this conversation over the last couple of years, and I know that we're at some degree working with it. I'm not quite sure where we're at, but in terms of being proactive rather than reactive to our facilities updates and remodels and things like that, how close are we to getting a hold on having a rough, obviously things change, but we're going to have certain maintenance items coming up, the roof, this, that on all these different buildings. How close are we getting to being able to really have a good understanding of what our anticipated expenses are going to be for all of the maintenance on our facilities?
Yeah, so in 2019, the council did approve us some funding to go out and do the main study, which was the facilities condition assessment. To do all of our buildings was going to be over $1 million. We were awarded, I think, about $400 and some $1,000. So we were able to do a portion of our larger buildings and really get a facilities condition assessment so we could see, over the next 20 years, what we would need to spend to upkeep those buildings. But we don't have that on a lot of our facilities. We just don't have those reports. And so it's what we've been able to put together. We are working very closely with the budget office to try to make a long-term 6-year to 20-year forecast out of all of our capital needs. But that's really, it's an effort. We've been working on it for a couple of years now. We need some more time to work on that to really plan out all of our capital needs and all of our needs for the next 20 years as far as maintaining and upkeeping those buildings. So it is a work in process now, and we're trying to find the best way. And we're trying to also get the feedback from the departments. We've asked them to do a 6-year lookout and let us know what is coming down the pike that they're going to be asking us for: remodels, major maintenance, upkeep, that type of stuff. And so it is a big effort to try and pull all that data together. So.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
The one thing I would say with that is, I really feel like this is a critical thing. And if you're able to do, if we got half of our facilities done or something, and you're able to do it in-house, the remainder, and do a good job of that, then great. But if you know, if we need to find some more funding to finish that, I certainly would support doing that. I think it's an important part of our job is being able to plan relatively well for our future expenses. So thank you for that update.
Thank you.
And I can add on that as well. As you've heard through the budget process, I think it's been 2 years now that we've called out capital. We've never had a capital plan here at the county. And so the initial first phase of that plan has been implemented through the budget process of having separate line items for that and criteria and priorities that we're looking at. There's hundreds of line items of capital needs that we don't have funding that we know because we didn't have anything. So we're not being proactive. We're starting to get there, but we're still being reactive to fix the leaking roof in the courthouse that took years to, and there was literally water going down the stairwell, you know?
Yeah.
So there is a lot of intentional work that's being done. And I know both with Michelle's group and IT, who you'll hear from next, have the biggest capital items. And like she said, they're working with the budget office also to really come up with that instead of just a list of 100 items. Because what we've been doing is during the budget process, we're like, okay, what's critical that we have to do? And so that's how we've been prioritizing over the last 2 years, even though we have it separate, is okay, what do we have to do now? But it's going to be that more strategic over the years to have that plan. And I just want to add to, I know we've talked about this before, but as we sit here and listen to this, and you'll hear from IT, it is truly amazing what we're doing with limited staff. We have not grown. They have been reduced. We've been able to capture some project employees. I mean, having a budget that's multi-million, $100 million, hundreds of millions of dollars, and we have 5 people who support that process. A lot of, people are multitasking departments, but it's just amazing to hear this because of where we're at. And I want the community to know that too, because we are very lean in some of our departments, especially these departments that are really supporting countywide services. And it's just truly amazing and the amount of work that we can get done with limited staff. So I just want to acknowledge the team on everything that they do.
Thank you
Yes,
very
and
much for that.
Thank you.
Chair,
So-
just one last thing. I
Sure.
wanted to thank you also for that addition. I think it was well suited. And I will say this too, you know, this is one of the things that I feel that we are as a county right now are doing very well. And that is looking at how we're operating as a whole right now. And we've really noticed we've found some real holes and efficiencies and things that we weren't doing well forever, essentially. And so, one of the things that I'm proud of that we're doing is fixing those issues that exist. I mean, we talked about contracts earlier. That's one of them. Facilities, and we talked about in the clean water program, inventory and scheduling for replacement of the pipes and the infrastructure. I mean, things like that the county has really never done, and it's always been very reactionary, which has led in many cases to some deficiencies in the overall system. So, we're just shaking these things up and making them more efficient and being proactive. And you're doing all this without getting any more support. And so I just wanted to say I appreciate all the efforts in the various departments that are really, really working hard to make things the best that they can be, and doing so without any additional support.
And they don't complain, which I don't know if that's good or not. We don't want to burn out our people, but I'm not getting phone calls saying I need 20 more staff. I know that they do, but they're just doing what they can.
Yeah. Good not to complain, but good to keep us informed of your needs. Go ahead, Counselor.
That sounds really great, the efficiency that you're working at. Is there any way to publicly show it? Is there a way to compare us to other jurisdictions to show that we're doing more with less in a really public way? Because I don't know if the voters know that, and if we go to them for asking for money for other things, I'd love it if we could just show what you're explaining.
Yeah, some departments have already done this, like April's group. They have a dashboard that's updated daily on permit times. I mean, are we putting out there what do other people do? No, we don't want to. I mean, I know that they're quicker than Vancouver on some of their permits. But I don't want to be in the business of making another jurisdiction look bad, but we certainly want to showcase what we're doing and how that's increasing. So we are working on that, more data out there just to show successes and real-time data. Budget process, we talk a lot about it as well, because I bring that up in the budget presentations to show that as well. So, and you'll see that through their, what Emily say, 300 plus requests from departments. A lot of those don't get recommended, but it's the way that departments and offices can communicate with the public of what their needs are, even if we can't fund it.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
thank you for what you do, and I'm glad we can express our thanks as much as possible.
And it's not just Michelle, it's everybody in this room.
It's everyone in the
Yes.
room and out there.
Yes, yes.
I just had one question. You mentioned that there were a number of cuts in '08. Has the department come up, really recovered from those cuts that occurred? Never really recovered.
No, every year around the October, November timeframe, we go into facilities, what we call health, life, safety mode, because we just don't have enough budget or staffing to do all the requests that come through our department. And so we really, at that point, have to tell people, sorry, we're not going to be able to clean windows, deep clean carpets, paint an office, because our limited funding and resources, we have to concentrate on the health, life, safety things, an elevator breaking down, you know, a cleanup of a blood spill, something like that. So we can't. And so every year we do go into a health, life, safety mode to be able to keep the lights on, pay the utility bills, do the things that are required. And we have to tell departments this is going to have to wait till January when our budget refreshes. So we haven't fully recovered from that.
And as council has seen too, in the last couple of years, we're getting a lot more project positions. There's a reason for that. It's because our general fund, I will never recommend something that we can't sustain. And so project positions is hard to fill sometimes because people don't like the uncertainty of a 2-year position. And we've been able to extend some of them as we work through the budget process. But I'm not recommending ongoing because I don't want to hire somebody and lay them off in a year or 2 years because of that sustainability. So there's a lot more project positions out there right now for that reason, so that we can get the resources in now. But the people who are applying, knowing that there's no guarantee that that position is going to continue after the 2 years.
Thank you. This has all been really enlightening, and I just want to acknowledge how difficult it is to really, especially with limited resources, to transition from reactive when you still have all these things you need to react to move into proactive. But ultimately, when you get there, it can save money.
Yeah.
So thank you very much,
Yeah.
Michelle, and please convey that to your entire team.
I will. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Councilor Belcott, sorry.
No problem, Chair. Is there a way, Kathleen, we could maybe showcase some of the things that Michelle's group is doing in the newsletter? Because I can't remember, when did you say our new newsletter is going to be going out? I can't even remember.
It went out last week.
Okay, well,
But absolutely. So we are hitting key projects, service spotlights. We talked about the Community Development Learning Lab and the last one that was very successful last year and is continuing on in 2024. But absolutely, that is the purpose of that newsletter, is to let the community know what we're doing and also where we're at on some key policy direction items from council.
okay, thank you. I know Michelle does so much. I am always amazed at what you do, Michelle. I can't even, yeah. Anyway, thank you for all that you do. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Good point. Any other questions or comments? With that, thanks.